brought to you by Ting.
Hey guys, Nick here for Rev3 Games, and I'm here with Avi Ben Menahem, Adam Ice Screen, and Ken Lob Klob himself to talk about Phantom Dust and kind of how this project came together. So I guess my first question is, when looking at all the games that have sort of existed in the Xbox family for a while, Phantom Dust really stands out to me as someone who loved it originally as a unique IP that wasn't super well known at the time, that really should have done better than it did, that deserved a second chance. How did you guys sort of stumble onto the idea of, hey, we could take this and re-evaluate it for 2014, 2015?
So I was at Xbox when Furutsugi-san inside MGSJ originally did Phantom Dust, and I was a huge fan then. I went to Japan a couple times a year. We talk about the game, play the game. There were a bunch of us inside Microsoft Game Studios that were addicted to it. So we were trying to push upper management into this is good, this is good, this is good. Times being what happened, we ended up with not shipping the game. Majesco did it in the US, etc. Bad history, long story. We'll save that for later. But we often talk, you know, Phil and the GMs, what should we be doing next? And I've been pushing on Phantom Dust for 5, 6, 7 years. And it's in the back of Phil's head. Killer Instinct was the same thing. You know, when we acquired Rare, I was obviously also at Microsoft, and we should do Killer Instinct.
Right.
Busy, 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 busy.
Sure.
In both cases, Killer Instinct and Phantom Dust, creative director Adam keeps coming in my ear, and we should do KI. And I'm like, yes, we should do KI, but there's all these things that have to get done, and he did them all. And we ended up signing a developer. History. So after that finishes, then Adam, we should do Phantom Dust. And it's funny because, I don't know, within a month I'd talked to Phantom Dust about Phantom Dust to Phil again. Yeah. And then Adam comes, start pushing, and then somebody in the world, we should thank them, sends the first tweet to Phil, which started this push towards Phil of Phantom Dust. And, you know, Phil's right down the hall from where I sit. He comes by again, and he's like, Phantom Dust, you're always asking me about Phantom Dust. Maybe we should do that again. And it's like, Adam already has us back. We can do that right now. And it's like, okay, go. And then we move over to what happened at that point.
Yeah, it seems like the stars line. So Adam, you were instrumental in sort of our detective work by changing your Twitter banner to the Phantom Dust screenshot there.
I'm a huge fan of the game. I feel bad, as you know, someone that's been gaming since the Atari 2600. I missed Phantom Dust the first time it came around. And when I got a chance to play it, after Ken and I, you know, talk all the time, and I was amazed at how good the game was. I feel like, as a gamer, I feel shamed, especially as how much I love the Panzer Dragoon series, that I missed something from Furatsugi-san. And I fell in love with the game. And I immediately went to Ken, since, you know, the same thing with Killer Instinct, why aren't we doing KI? Oh my God, how are we not doing this game? Like, this thing is amazing. It has a unique design. It's incredible. And when Phil picked it up and started tweeting about it, I went, all right, I'm running with this. I'm going to start internal support. I'm going to run around. I'm going to write a spec. We're going to do this. And so that's kind of the groundswell that started building the game. And we started pulling people in like Avi and everyone else, and getting people bought copies of the game again. Like,
how hard was that, by the way? How hard was it to find copies of Phantom Dust nowadays?
What's amazing is we watched as we were buying up copies, the prices going up on the online, like the second hands. And the prices kept going up as we were picking up copies of the game again.
It was a game whose run, Avi, maybe you can speak to this, but there weren't a ton of copies of Phantom Dust shipped originally. I think you said there was only
there weren't a lot. I think we were, 70, 80,000 worldwide. Most of them were sold in Japan. And like Ken and Adam said, one of the things that we want to do is always look at our back portfolio and see what are the great IPs that we want to bring back to our fans. And like you said earlier, we all want to kind of feel like we're building games just for me. Yeah. Right. The game was just made for me. Right. And if that's the feeling we could capture with Phantom Dust, then I think we've done our job.
That's amazing. Yeah.
The thing that I'm most happy with is that, and this is just a shout out to Phil. Phil, we love you, Phil. Oh, yeah. It's the conversation didn't start with, and how many did it sell? Phil knew what it sold, so it wasn't like that was some unknown information. But that wasn't the conversation. It was like, you've always talked to me about this game. Is it really good? Yes, it's really good. We should do it again. Is it still modern? Actually, it was way ahead of its time. This game deserves to be brought back. It actually feels almost more like a game that, if it had been designed and released today, it would have had a better chance of people paying attention, just because of the type of games that people are playing nowadays. So it was cool, I think, from the perspective of just getting a peek into Phil's head, that it's, you know, why Phantom Dust? Why not one of the other IP? Well, it was because, you know, this internal push. And literally, like I said in the conference, it was design first. You know, is this game great? That was his first question. And it's
So-
like, yes, it is.
That actually leads into my next question very well. I think Phantom Dust is a game that holds up remarkably well today. Like, you can play Phantom Dust, and not only does it look pretty good still, it just plays so nicely and is so solid, and the mechanics just are perfect the way they are. And so I'm curious to hear from you guys, what are the core mechanics of Phantom Dust that you want to hold on to for this remake?
So what is important about the original design really is, you know, just to talk in KI terms, it's a kick-ass fighting game.
Right.
When you play that game with 4 people that know what they're doing and start playing arsenals off of each other, it's like there's just this infinite amount of depth, kind of like you get infinite amount of depth in a really good fighting game.
Yeah.
So you got this great RPG that we love. We want to tell that story, you know, but we'll want to tweak. I'll leave the rest to you. His again, Adam, just like KI, wrote this beautiful spec of here's what we love, here's what we should be fixed, and then, you know, again, found the people inside the company that love Phantom Dust. We all add to it, kind of, yes, maybe, you know, again, and then you end up with this perfect thing that we can take out and then find
awesome.
Someone that's super passionate as we are to help, and of course bringing in Furatsugi-san to help bring his baby back.
I'm very glad to hear that Furatsugi is involved, because it is feels like a whole creation of his. Adam, we were talking a little bit earlier about Phantom Dust and balance, and even though it is a remarkably balanced game, there are maybe a few skills in the original game that need some repairing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing too is if you play on the 360, you know, you can only the people that are playing on original Xboxes that have hacked them can actually get to the 1.2 patch with the balance. There are ways to hack the saves on the 360 so that you can play with all the cards, but you're actually not playing with the final balance in the 1.2 patch. So things like Psycho Sniper is doing way too much damage for its cost. You've got things like Venom Fang, which just tracks you along the board no matter what you do, goes upstairs, turns corners, and you're like,
God, the right turns it can do. And it's purple, and that whole game is kind of purple, so it's almost impossible to see it, like crawling
on the
along
ground,
the ground.
and you're just like, I hate you, Venom Fang. So like, no, we're totally nerfing. We're nerfing. I'm nerfing Venom Fang.
On the record, we are nerfing Venom Fang.
I'm nerfing that freaking card.
Yeah.
But like, no, there's definitely some things that we want to change just for balance sake. But the great thing about the game is that it's a really good game. The cards are really well balanced. You know, where we're starting is with the balance, the cards that are there. We want to get all the skills in, get them all functional, and then start tweaking and adjusting based on all the crazy decks that people have been building over time. Yeah, and we're definitely going to involve the community in that too, you know, for feedback on, you know, what builds they loved, what things, you know, there's a big debate I'm on cartwheelers, jumpers, you know, rollers, the advantages there.
I was a jumper.
Yeah, pretty much everyone goes eventually to the jumpers because of being to maneuver over terrain. And those are things that we want to look at for the new one. But to us, what's really important to nail is the feel.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about Phantom Dust that I think is absolutely magical is there's no one-hit kills. Now, granted, if you do Judge of Anubis and you've got a deck where you're burning down your health, okay, there are ways to do it.
Right.
You know,
79
compressor decks, there are all kinds of crazy things you can do. But the real important thing is it's a game that you have time to think and you have time to react. It's this gorgeous fighting game that moves in a pacing that makes it something that you can get skillful at. And that is so important for us to maintain, and that's the utmost thing that we're going to make sure comes back in the game is the feel.
Well, one thing I've found in being the guy on the internet who's freaking out about Phantom Dust lately is that there is a pretty sizable, super hardcore demographic. Like, all during E3, all I've gotten are tweets from people saying, go find out more about Phantom Dust, and I'm really happy to be able to do that with you guys here today. I think lastly, and we spoke a bit about this, but Killer Instinct is interesting as a precedent because as a pricing model, it's not your typical free-to-play game. Some of it's given away, and certain characters are unlocked for free. And I'm curious what your thoughts are with Phantom Dust as a card game. It's kind of invites certain other models, like it's impossible not to look at what Hearthstone is doing and what Magic Online is doing.
There are a lot of elements that I think in modern games that we can leverage for Phantom Dust. We want to maintain what was great about Phantom Dust and allow people to grind for the cards, allow people to play and earn. So that's all part of the game that we want to maintain. Yeah. Now, what we do outside of that, if we give you ways to accelerate that, we're still playing with that, and we'll figure it out.
And like Adam said, first and foremost, we want to make the game approachable, right? And like you said, yes, it is it's a hardcore game, but we still want to make it as approachable as possible to as many people as we can. But on the same time, keep the depth in the game, right? That you can go as deep as you want, right? 370 skills, right? 374 skills, right? So that's insane. And relative to the pricing model, then our commitment is to make sure that pricing will not stand between the users and the game. Right?
Yeah.
We'll make sure that that's not the case. But at the same time, we'll make sure it's approachable and
Cool.
There are different entry points to the game. Yeah.
So we obviously aren't going to give details today into
Yeah.
what we're thinking about the business model. But what I like to hope most people understand about Killer Instinct today, I mean, obviously we had some weird, call them speed bumps when we announced the way we were pricing KI. If you look at it now, I think most people understand what I was trying to do. We were to get as many people as possible into Killer Instinct, lower the barrier of entry, not generate gajillion dollars from one person. It's not a system built to go find some whale. It's a system to let people come in. Let me open the door. You can just try this character for free. If you want just one character in KI, you can just pay $5 and you can play that character against anybody else online. You can have as much fun as you want, and it only costs you $5. And if you want to pay in a little bit more, you can work your way up to the ultimate pack.
That's a really...
And it's like, that's the idea. It's not the way that, this is why I was so kind of, let's just say, slightly red-faced at EVO, saying there's no way this game is free to play with other expletives tucked in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's the same way that we want to treat Phantom Dust. How do I get millions of people to play this game that I really, really love? That's what the business model will be optimized for.
Totally.
Not, can I sell you 400 packs to get 300 cards?
Right.
That doesn't make sense. You know,
That's
not what it's about.
That's
it's
a really
about
important...
having more fun with our game and getting as many people as possible to play it.
That's an interesting thing about KI too, is that it's not a game you can dump money into indefinitely. It's just sort of the ceiling. And in doing my video about Phantom Dust, I found a lot of commenters saying, I had actually never heard of this game before, but I now really want to play it because of all the enthusiasm I see from people who really love it. So basically, it is probably safe to say that we're not going to be buying packs of junk.
Exactly right.
Right. Junk is such a funny term also. I feel like it'd be hard...
Open the door so a bunch of people can try this game. And
Awesome.
Because, like,
I mean,
you got 70,000 people that I think will play this game again. Right? 70,000?
Yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable with anybody that played that game originally, if they have access to an Xbox One. They're
In
going
good
to play
taste.
Phantom Dust. They know what it is. They'll want to come back and try it again. How do we help them help anybody else that might be interested in the genre or even find out interested in things their friends love, that they can also come in the door?
Awesome. Well, that's
Yeah.
really exciting to hear.
I'm sorry, I was just going to add that the one thing that's cool is that, you mentioned Hearthstone. I think one thing Hearthstone really did an excellent job of was easing people into the experience. And one of the things that, was tough in Phantom Dust was it's like 3.5 hours before you actually got to build a deck,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god, I just got to the game.
That trickle of
like the
missions
real
is-
game. And so we want to make sure that there's a much easier path for people to get into deck building and to get to the fun of arsenals and cases, and all of that stuff is coming back. And so we want to get people to that and have that experience sooner. So that's one of the ways that, as Ken's saying, we want to really ease people into the experience where they're like, oh wow, oh this is easy to get into, and then oh by the way, here's all the depth.
Cool. And stepping back and looking at Phantom Dust today, I think that's one of the things that does actually concern me about the original design is it takes a while to get rolling. Absolutely. Like those first few missions it's like one tutorial spread out across 15 tutorials. Yeah.
It's 3 hours of tutorials.
It's nuts.
right?
So when do you think we'll hear more about Phantom Dust?
Okay, well, it's a great question. So I think that E3 was first major beat for us, right? We worked really hard to kind of make sure that the trailer kind of really, I think, brings in a lot of kind of what we think about the game, but it definitely doesn't bring in it's not the visual target.
Yeah.
It's not the gameplay. It's not the characters, but it's a lot about the concept and how do we see the game coming to life. I think that what you'll see over the next few months, we'll start talking more about the game. We'll announce the developer soon, and as we progress in the game development, we for sure are going to share gameplay and art and more details
get the community involved.
and like Adam says, and one of the things we've done for KI that worked very well that I think that we would like to do for Phantom Dust is to bring in the community to play the game and give us feedback before we release it, to make sure that really the game, that once we ship it, it's best possible.
Nice. Well, I think one thing that is really reassuring as a Phantom Dust fan is that there is so much passion for Phantom Dust among you and in the room, and I hope that extends to whatever development team you've selected.
You will not believe how passionate these guys is. I'm going to look in the camera and say that this is probably one of the better Phantom Dust playing crew that I've seen.
Nice. Adam?
Yeah, I'll just add, one of the things, KI was, we wanted to find a developer with passion for the product, and we vetted a lot of developers for Phantom Dust, and the one that we found, they've got the passion. They've got exactly what we're looking for to build a game to have just as big of a comeback as we've done with KI.
Yeah, and again, just to close on that, that's taking a level of technical competence as a given. The number one criteria was we need to find a developer that loves this game as much as we do, period. I don't want to find a developer. We didn't want to find a developer that was like, let us teach you this game. It's like, no. We need to find someone that, because we know they're out there, that loves the game as much as we do. And when you find a developer that's actually still playing and that can actually speak the language to you and discuss their favorite decks and talk about the flawed cards, then it's like, okay, now are you technically competent? Now are you, do you have artistic chops? But it was this opening conversation was around, do you understand Phantom Dust? No, do you really understand Phantom Dust? And it's like, okay, we found the perfect partner.
Well, thank you guys so much for talking. I'm going to continue interrogating you about Phantom Dust until the day it comes out. And
we'll talk online. You can always Twitter us.
Right, we'll just keep
message
talking.
Boards, everything.
Right, we'll keep annoying everyone who follows us both on Twitter by talking about Phantom Dust. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you next day.
Thanks all.
Are you sick of being bossed around by your cell phone carrier? Are you paying tons of money for data you don't even use? If so, then guys, it's time to switch to Ting. Ting is a revolutionary new cell phone service that puts the power back into your hands with complete and total transparency. With Ting, you only pay for the data and minutes you use, meaning there are no plans, no hidden charges, and no early termination fees. You know exactly what you're paying for, and you can leave whenever you want. Ting runs on the nationwide Sprint network, and there's a good chance it already works with your existing cell phone. Their customer service is also top-notch, so no matter what time of day you call, you'll always be able to reach a live, actual person. Head over to rev3games.ting.com and click on their savings calculator to see how much money Ting can save you. That URL will also get you $25 off your first bill, and remember, every sign-up helps support Rev3 Games, so it's really a no-brainer.